Hey everybody, Weston here, back with another Deck Tech video, and today we have our everybody's favorite little Mite here, Skrelv, the Defector Mite. Look at him eating that little Phyrexian. Num num. Yeah. So this is going to be a mono-white deck, and we're going to be focusing on Toxic, Infect, and a little bit of tokens where we can. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So, we have ourselves Skrelv. He is a 1/1 for 1. He's a Defector Mite. He is from New Phyrexia. He has Toxic 1, so players dealt combat damage by this creature also get a poison counter. This was Wizard's fix to Infect because Infect was busted, to say the least. Having played during the New Phyrexia Scars of Mirrodin time, Infect was pretty scary back in the day. And then he can't block because no Phyrexian Mites can block. And then he has pay 1 white Phyrexian, which means you can either pay a 1 white mana or 2 life. Tap him, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. So pseudo protection. All right, so let's get into here. So there's going to be a lot of cards that you probably never heard of because they're a bunch of bulk commons that are throwaways. So, like, for example, we have Annex Sentry. This is a 1/4 for 2 generic and 1 white. Has Toxic 1, and when it enters the battlefield, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls with mana value 3 or less, until Annex Sentry leaves the battlefield. So think of all those like white enchantments that do the same thing. You can exile somebody's mana rock, like their Soul Ring or something like that, level the playing field. We have Core Prowler. He has Infect. He's a 2/2 for 4, and when he's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, proliferate. We have Crawling Chorus. This card, I love the Phyrexian, specifically like the Elish Norn style art. It reminds me a lot of something that like Guillermo del Toro would make, and like it's so disturbing and creepy, right? Like, look at this Flesh Abomination here. We have Toxic 1. It's a 1/1, and when it dies, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Mite creature artifact token with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. Delny's Streetwise Lookout. This card needs a reprint. I did not realize that this card was up to $45. I have a bunch of them because they were cheap at some point in time, and yeah, we need a reprint of this card. But what it says is creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. We also have a Duelist of Deep Faith, Toxic 1, and as long as it's your turn, Duelist of Deep Faith has First Strike. It's 2/2 for 2, and oh, it's killing a Myrrh. Myrrh are adorable. That's so sad. We have Dune Mover. It's Toxic 1. It's a 2/1 for 2, and when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put that card on top. Then we have Elish Norn, the Saga Elish Norn, and she has Vigilance, and whenever a source an opponent controls deals damage to you or a permanent you control, that source's controller loses 2 life unless they pay 1. And then you can pay 3, sacrifice 3 creatures, exile her, and turn her into the Saga, which is the Argent Etchings. Incubate 2 5 times, which puts these tokens into play with some counters on them, and then you can pay to turn them into regular things. Then transform all incubator tokens you control. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain double strike until end of turn, and destroy all creatures or all other permanents except for artifacts, lands, and Phyrexians. Exile the Argent Etchings, return it to the battlefield as Elish Norn. As you can tell, most of our stuff are Phyrexians. We have the original, and one of my favorite arts in all of Magic the Gathering, and one of my favorite cards in all of Magic the Gathering. My wife even made like a wooden etch, or bought a wooden etched card of it on Backside's Candelabra. But she says Vigilance. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1. And then, of course, we have the other Elish Norn, the Mom of Machines. And she has Vigilance, and she Panharmonicons for you, and then turns off opponents' ETB triggers. And then we have Enduring Innocence. Whenever one or more creatures you control with power 2 or less enter, draw a card. This triggers only once each turn, and when it dies, it turns into an enchantment. Filigree Vector, it's a 1/1 for 4. And when it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each of any number of target creatures and a charge counter on each of any number of target artifacts. So put this on all your mites. Put this on all your creatures. And you can sacrifice another artifact to proliferate. He's a fun little card. Fleshlight Raptor. He's a flying thing made out of people's bones and flesh. Flying, Toxic 1. And when it enters the battlefield, another target creature you control gets with Toxic gets 1/1/1 and flying until end of turn. Grateful Apparition. Flies when it deals damage to a player, combat damage to a player. You get to proliferate. Ichor Mirror is a 1/1 for 2, and it infects. We have Incisor Glider. It's made out of teeth, which is really creepy. It's flying and corrupted. Whenever Incisor Glider attacks, if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters, that's the corrupted thing when they have 3 or more poison counters. And creatures you control get +1/+1. We have Indoctrination Attendant. It's a 3/4 for 4. Toxic 1. When it enters the battlefield, you can return another permanent you control to its owner's hand. If you do, create a 1/1 Mite. We have Jawbone Duelist, Double Strike Toxic 1. It's a 1/1. Lost Leonin. It's an infect. It's a 2/1 for 1. We have Mentor the Meek, which is whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Metastic Evangel, this creepy little Moon Knight looking guy from Modern Horizons 3. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. Mite Overseer, he has first strike. As long as you turn creature tokens you control get +1/+0 in first strike. You can pay to create a Mite, 3 generic and 1 white Phyrexian. We have Mondrak in here to double our token making abilities. He's also pretty expensive, or he's going to need a reprint sometime soon. Myr Convert is Toxic 1, pay 2 life. Norn's Choirmaster, flying first strike, and whenever a commander creature you control enters the battlefield or attacks, proliferate. We have the Cop Robot from Edge of Eternities. Creatures enter with 2 1/1 counters on, or this creature enters with 2 1/1 counters on it. And whenever an opponent commits a crime, proliferate. Committing a crime is anything. When they target an opponent, anything an opponent controls, and or cards in an opponent's graveyard to proliferate, you put the counters on. Phyrexian Censor. This thing looks weird, interesting. Creepy looking thing. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-Phyrexian spell each turn. Non-Phyrexians enter the battlefield tapped. Let's see here. We have Phyrexian Vindicator. He is the mono-white version of Phyrexian Obliterator. If damage would be dealt to him, prevent that damage, and when it's prevented, he deals that much damage to any other target. Plague Myr. It's an infect mana Dork Myr. We have Priests of Norn. They infect, they have vigilance, and it's a 1/4. Surge Conductor. Whenever another non-token artifact you control enters, proliferate. It's from the precon for Edge of Eternities for the red, white, blue one. We have Tine Shrike. It has flying and infect 2/1. Sorceries. We have Dusk. Because most of our creatures have such low power, Dusk is fine as a Wrath, right? You destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. And then Aftermath, you can Dawn it to return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. We have Lay Down Arms. Exile target creature, mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. It's mono white. Its controller gains 3 life. We have Sunder the Gateway. Which is destroy target non-token artifact or enchantments an opponent controls, and then you incubate 2. Create that incubate token with 2 1/1 counters on it, and then you can pay 2 to transform it, and then it's a Phyrexian. Incubate 2, then transform an incubator token you control. We have Sunfall. Exile all creatures. Incubate X, where X is the number of creatures exiled this way. Evil Heliod. Well, Heliod was already evil, but now he's a Phyrexian evil. The Battle of Bywater. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Then create a food token for each one of your creatures that died. or for each one of your creatures you control. Whitestone's Twilight. You pay X and 2. You gain X life. Create X/1/1 Phyrexian Mite artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1. And this creature can't block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. We have Apostle's Blessings. It can be paid with Phyrexian mana. This art also is really cool. Target artifact or creature you control gains protection from artifacts or protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Brave the elements. Choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the color until end of turn. It's to help you get through with your little weenies. Charge of the Mites. These are really big mites compared to most of the mites. But you get to make more mites with this card. And they can deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to target creature or planeswalker. Flare of Fortitude, make your stuff indestructible. Generous Gift, Path, Swords, you know what those are. Stroke of Midnight. Rootborn Defenses, populates, which lets you make a copy of a creature token you control and makes your stuff indestructible. And Plated Onslaught, which is affinity for artifacts, and creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Artifacts, we have 14. Silver Shroud Costume, Brotherhood Regalia, and Trailblazer's Boots and Whisper Silk Cloak are all in there to help your stuff be not able to be blocked. So that way your little guys can get through. We have Contagion Clasp for some Proliferate. Sword of Truth and Justice for some Proliferate. Throne of Geth, Sacrifice an Artifact Proliferate. We have Glistening Sphere. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, Proliferate. And then you can tap and add 1 mana of any color. And if somebody's corrupted, you can add 3 mana of any one color. Fire Shrieker to give something double strike. Infested Flesh Cutter. That helps you, when the equipped creature attacks, you create a Mite. And the equipped creature gets +2/+0. Prosthetic Injector, the creature gets +2 or +0/+2 in Toxic. Grafted Exoskeleton gives +2/+2 in Infect. Downside is if it becomes unattached from a permanent, sacrifice that permanent. Staff of Completion, and then of course Soul Ring is in here as well. Enchantments, we're only running 3. We have Skrelv's Hive, so that way you can get even more mites. We have Norn's Decree, which is whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls deal combat damage to you, that opponent gets a poison counter. Whenever a player attacks, if one or more players being attacked are poisoned, the attacking player draws a card. And then we have Duelist Heritage. Whenever one or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. Then we have lands. Adagia. Like I've said plenty of times, I'm really high on this card. It's a good card. Karoo, Amiria the Sky Ruin, since we are mono white and playing enough planes. We have Path of Ancestry, Escape Tunnel, Access Tunnel, Rogue's Passage, Reliquary Tower, and the Mycosynth Gardens. Karn's Bastion as well, and Inkmoth Nexus. Alrighty, it's a nice little mono white deck. I like Skrelv. He's a little funny guy. Let me know what you think, as always, in the comments down below. Have you ever built Skrelv? As always, I'm Weston with the Hidden Gibbon, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.